Hey guys, James Helms here over at RK Motors. You're jumping in at part 2 of our interview with John Hotchkis from Hotchkis Suspensions. If you have not already viewed it, make sure to check out part 1 where we kind of do a breakdown and get underneath the car. This video we're going to actually start talking about some individual components, how they apply to your ride, and kind of show some offerings that they have. It was a very special guest, and be sure to check the description below for the link to the first video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and hope you guys enjoy it.
James, with all these great cars at RK Motors, I'm sure that you have a number of buyers that come in and say, well, what should I do with my car? Because there are a lot of people getting into our hobby that's our first time. They see values at Barrett-Jackson and so on, and they know these cars are a great investment. But what are some of the questions they ask you?
Well, I mean, one thing we see a lot is people who want to upgrade their suspension components, but they're really worried about having to like cut or modify the floor pans and other parts of the car. So, I mean, do you guys have parts that are kind of just a bolt-on solution for those customers who don't want to start getting into like, you know, chopping metal up?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you asked that question because really all of our products are bolt-on. So the fact that you can change the geometry and make the tires handle grip so well and the car work with bolt-on suspension, that was always our recipe. The subframe connectors in the unibody cars, those are weld-on because they really need to be bolt-on still. With a subframe connector, the bolts can slip a little bit, and it's better to weld on. But if you ever wanted to remove them, it would be pretty easy because you can even tack weld subframe connectors on. But the point is that we also wanted to make these easy for families to install.
Yeah.
So, you know, you guys have your installation shop and easy for you guys too. So you get the part, remove the old part and bolt ours on, do a quick alignment and you're done.
Very cool. Now, one thing we do get a lot of questions on, I mean, as you've seen kind of like style changes in the classic car hobby, a lot of people are going lower. You know, you look at an older car, you're seeing a lot more rubber, you know, underneath that fender well. As people go lower, they're also worried about like losing the kind of driving dynamics and the handling that you get because it can get stiffer in some things. You guys offer some solutions or some suggestions for people who are worried about that?
We do. Now, for instance, this Chevelle, you can only go so low because then the suspension is out of its geometry range. So having the lower arms about flat with the road surfaces is kind of where you want the arms for a lowered ride height. Sometimes you'll see a car very low and the whole suspension is moved up so much that the upright, the spindle, doesn't do the right things onto the rest of the travel, or maybe there isn't any more travel. Now we make them so we lower it about 1 inch to 2 inches, 3 inches on a first-gen Camaro, wherever that we can put the car so that the suspension still has travel, so still has movement, but also is in the right geometry range to make it work.
Do springs settle? We get that kind of response a lot. People will want to lower their car down, but you know they're like, okay, I've got a 2-inch drop. This looks like 1 inch to me as I finish, you know, installing it. Like, so can we talk about like spring settling and kind of like what to expect when you go to first install these kind of things?
Absolutely. Well, springs might settle a little bit. Maybe it's not in the perch correctly, or it's a new spring that's slightly different diameter than stock. But they shouldn't settle very much because the spring should be engineered to have enough wire in it not to be stressed. So the less wire, the lighter the spring can be, but it's also under a lot of stress, and it's like bending a paper clip. At some point it just fails.
Okay.
And so if with a good product, you shouldn't put it in and expect major settling.
Good to know. Okay, very cool.
Now, if all of a sudden you have something and it keeps settling, and then you have an inferior product, because what you put on your car after an alignment is pretty much what you should have.
Okay, good to know. Now we have seen people who want to install sway bars, but they run into some problems. I feel like a common mistake is how they try to have the suspension under load or not under load while they're installing it. So Do you guys run into that often with your customers?
We do, absolutely, because the first thing you do, you put your car in jack stands, and now you can put the, let's say, the trailing arms or the A-arms on with the car in droop. Now, you may need to jack up one part of the suspension in order to get the bushings to fit and put the bolts in, but sway bars need to be at near ride height. And so that you can put the end links in. If it's all in droop, it's really in an area where it's very difficult to put the sway bar. You can get the sway bar on, but connecting the end links to the lower arm and so on, or the other mounts, is difficult.
Okay, so I mean, but that's something that people can do in their driveway too with the.
Absolutely. So all you need to do is for the rear, you just jack the axle up until it's more at ride height, then connect everything, and it's easy. Same with the front. Put a jack under the lower arm, lift that up until it's near normal ride height. Easily connect the end link. Then when it's all done, you let it droop, put the car on the ground, and go.
Awesome. Do you want to go through the components that you guys brought here and kind of talk a little bit about what you guys offer? I noticed you guys have some comparison on some components here as well.
Absolutely. I'll start with something simple. This is a normal sway bar bracket. We call it a strap bracket with grease fitting, which is a good bracket, but we've introduced a new line of billet brackets. We have all new CNC machinery in our facility in Mooresville, so we're making more and more things out of billet. These are aluminum, grease fitting on top, goes right on the car. We have them in different sizes, and definitely a great upgrade. Where this was good years ago, now we're trying to upgrade not only every component, but really raise the bar on the small ones as well.
One thing I was surprised at is, despite the thickness difference that you have with your modern component, it's still extraordinarily light. Like, you're not adding a bunch of heavy chunks of metal to the back end. It's that aluminum is super, super light.
Starts out as a big piece of aluminum, and we make these, but absolutely, James. And here's something we do on all of our products. This is for a early Mustang, classic Mustang. This is a bracket that goes in one side of the fender, and you put the nuts on the other side. Well, if you're doing this by yourself, you have a wrench here, you're trying to tighten one thing on the other side inside the car. So wherever we can, we make it so a single person can do the install. And so we weld the bolts to really a nut plate, we call it bolt plate. So you slide that in, all you need to do is just put the nut on.
Very nice.
Without having to find a wrench to hold the other side.
That's very convenient.
We do them in larger and small and so on.
Yeah, if you ever try to put a wrench up in those little spaces sometimes and you're trying to hold it on one side, it's a pain. So that's a nice thing to have.
We try to make sure that because we've done all these installs ourselves, so we make sure, hey, we make it as easy as possible, because we see more families doing install, more do-it-yourselfers are after dinner, the whole family gets out and works on the car. And then they really enjoy the drive even more.
And this kind of stuff doesn't have to be daunting for somebody to kind of jump in and start working on themselves. Like, I mean, you guys, supply all the components, and you have a lot of technical data on your website to, guide somebody through the process.
We do, and then we also have our tech team that's easy to call, and whether you email us or call us, we'll give you all the tips on installation. Here's something. This is a leaf spring shackle kit. And you want to make sure that the hangers, the shackles, the bushings in the leaf spring, whether it's here or also in the leaf springs, are absolutely new, solid, heavy duty, and so on. Because leaf springs not only hold the car up, but they steady the axle in cornering and so on. So they're the position holder for that live axle.
And this kind of ties back to you talking about the bushings and components in there that would be original on an old car, and making sure that those things are upgraded so that before you start getting anything crazy, you make sure you have the fundamentals and that foundation. Those kind of polyurethane pieces are that kind of foundation, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And here are our tie rod sleeves. And these with the jam nuts, the left and right jam nuts, make it much easier to adjust the toe. And so loosen the jam nut, turn the tie rod sleeve, and easy toe adjustment. So that's very important because nothing worse than having to get how many of the normal clamp type tie rod adjusters have you seen, toe adjusters, that have big marks from pliers on them or vice grips?
Yep.
So this is easy. Put a wrench on here.
It's cut for that purpose, yep.
Absolutely. We talk about our shocks by Fox, and we've done a ton of ride work with these, and they're light. Wait till you see how light it is. So it's much lighter than even a smaller steel body shock, but inside it has the state-of-the-art valving and so on, 22 position adjustable rebound adjustment, polyurethane bushings. So you put these in, you get great ride quality, and it just, I'll tell you, it lightens and brightens up a car.
Yeah.
And I can say that it's makes it so much more fun to drive because you have shock control.
Now, and this goes back to, like, you guys have tuned these specifically for different setups. So this is going to be a better option for somebody than like just an off-the-shelf kind of product.
Oh,
it's like a one-size-fits-all. You guys have kind of made sure these are set up for different
absolutely
generations and different
this is a 67 to 72 C10 truck rear shock, and we do something kind of really neat with the C10 front shocks. A C10 two-wheel drive short bed C10 is, they're the hottest things going.
Oh yeah.
And but they're a truck, so that they were engineered to run at high ride height because they're a truck and they need to carry load and need a lot of travel. You lower it down, and what happens is they're in the front, especially the shock mount in relation to the lower arm is very short. So a lot of companies will offer a very short shock in the front of a C10. Well, it also takes a heavy spring rate. Our springs are 1,400 pound rate in the front of that, our highest rate springs. So there's a lot of energy from that spring with a very small shock that can't dampen that energy. So you don't get good ride quality, and the shock just way overpowered by the spring. We use a full length shock in the front of the C10 because we take the mount and move it up on the frame. So then you get a full length shock that can handle that spring energy.
Okay. That's the importance of making sure you have the right setup for your particular, ride.
Exactly. So all our shocks are engineered for that vehicle.
Awesome.
And here's something. This is our original 1301 trailing arm. And just to show you, the stock one would be stamped steel and flexible and so on. You can actually move it with your fingers, but that was okay back in the old days. But now replacing this, it has our front swivel bushing, so it has some articulation in the bushing, solid rear bushing, and then our sway bar mounts here, grease fittings, really well manufactured. We make everything in-house, right in America, right in Mooresville, and to make sure you get high quality and the products you want.
It's always a good thing to be able to make sure you can buy something that's made in America, and you guys are local to the Charlotte area, and can handle kind of customer service stuff, anywhere around the U.S.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we encourage people to come by and see how they're made and talk cars with us. There's nothing better.
And you're very active in the car scene. That's how you came out to us too. I mean, we met. You just brought your car up to our cruising event, and it was quite the nice Grand National you had running around here. But
so much fun. Love Grand Nationals, love G bodies, and I can see there's a Grand National poster back in the corner over there. They are fun to drive.
Absolutely.
And it's great. We try to do an event every weekend. Like you, we love cars, and these are great roads to drive here.
Yeah.
So we'll bring out our Camaro, our Challenger, Grand National, and do a more Saturday morning car show, and then go for a drive after that. And I mean, it's the best.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you guys were always very receptive to everybody kind of just walking up and kind of asking questions, and so if you guys see him out at any of the shows, make sure to go introduce yourself. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on, just because I know it will come up occasionally, you talked about grease fittings, the importance of making sure that your suspension is properly lubricated and everything, because I know people complain about squeaks and noises occasionally, and that ties in with the grease right there, right? Making sure everything's got the components on it are all properly lubricated as you put it together.
Absolutely. Well, unlike the bushings of the stock components that are vulcanized rubber and they twist, in the whether trailing arms or the A-arms, polyurethane is a bearing surface, and that bearing surface is much smoother. We know how it should be. It's not good when it's not greased and it's not lubricated and it has stiction. So yes, you put our special grease on the face of the polyurethane. Maybe once a year, hit it with a grease gun to make sure that it has that lubrication that's needed. But definitely, it's so important to keep these, and along with the sway bars. Yeah. Sway bars need to rotate with that in the polyurethane bushings with some grease in them.
I feel like that's a little piece of maintenance people often overlook, but it can make a big difference.
A big difference. Some customers will call up and say, my car just doesn't feel like it used to, and I have all your products, but it's just stiff. And it makes noise and so on. Well, just say, hey, take it apart if you can't get the grease in the Zerk fittings, not too hard, and make sure everything's clean and greased, and you can drive for a long time between maintenance.
Very cool.
I brought something else to show you too, just to show you the kind of how elaborate an upper arm can be. So this is a 64.5 to 66 Mustang upper arm. And of course the spring is on top of the arm, so it has to be very strong. But what we do with all of our arms, and we talk about geometry corrected, we move the ball joint. So the upper ball joint moves back, the lower ball joint moves forward. And therefore then we have static caster in that for more stability. Radial tires need the benefits of more positive caster, and so the caster is built into the arms.
Very cool.
So you don't have to have a whole lot of alignment shims to get that aggressive alignment.
Yeah.
We have some customers, and this is another good frequently asked questions. They say, well, I took my car to my alignment shop, like this Chevelle. If you took it to alignment shop and the alignment person doesn't know what aggressive alignment should be, and we have it in all of our instructions and on our website. But the point is that somebody will say, well, 67 Chevelle or 65 Mustang, well, that aligns to this. Well, they'll align it to stock spec, and therefore the suspension doesn't work at that stock spec alignment. So they'll say, my car darts, it doesn't work, the steering doesn't feel right. So when you do performance suspension, you have to do performance alignment.
And you guys give everybody all the technical data as they buy the components to be able to know what kind of settings they need to be going into and say, no, this is what we've got set up here. It's not going to be stock, and they'll adjust accordingly.
Absolutely. And then the radial tires get the negative camber they need, more positive caster for the stability and so on, and then your car will work really well. But you can see the kind of the build quality, the TIG welding, the 4130 chromoly cross shaft, greasable polyurethane bushings. It's either polyurethane or Delrin. Nice hardware, and make sure it's got really good ball joint that's also greasable as well. So you really get a lot of value in a product like this.
And the nice thing is you guys offer components individually if you just need to upgrade individual parts, but you also have your TVS kits, which is just a total suspension kit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as we talked earlier, if somebody just says, hey, I just want to get into it, I want to see how much better my car will be, then you do springs, sway bars, shocks, start with that, and then of course you'll be addicted and you'll want more.
Yep, there's always something else you can add onto your car, right?
Exactly. James, in talking about the detail of our products, this is a cross shaft, so this is the front A-arm would bolt to the car with this cross shaft. This is for a 65, 66 Galaxy, which that crazy story, we never would have known about Galaxy had Jay Leno not come to us and said,
oh wow,
hey, I have this Galaxy and it's really in remembrance of my father, and I would like to make it handle well. So we did the whole kit. We thought, well, maybe somebody would be interested. But there are so many people that with 65, 66 Galaxies, the 7-liter Galaxy and so on, that want them to handle, that we've sold a ton of product for them. But back to the details. So this is just off the CNC machine. So we have the absolute best quality cross shafts, and you can see what it looks like in an original state. for.
It's cool to see all the machining marks on it and everything. See how it's
Yes.
made.
So we try to make the very best quality products we can, because hey, these cars are they're expensive, they're good. People want the most quality, the most durability, and the best driving experience. So it takes the best parts to do that.
Yeah.
Well, from there, then we zinc coat everything, and we do a gold zinc here. Then we powder coat the cross shaft, but we make sure that we do rust preventative wherever we can.
It's always important, yeah.
So we go to lengths to make sure that you have not only the highest quality parts possible, but the parts that will be most durable in every driving condition.
Yeah. I mean, it's, beautiful components you guys make, and, I really love all the options that you offer people no matter what they've got, because you guys offer products for a long line of different cars.
We do. A lot of people don't know, we're one of the largest producers of sway bars. And so we do balance handling packages and sway bars for Minis, for BMW, for Audi and Volkswagen, along with new muscle cars as well, new late model cars. There's the last thing. I keep thinking of more things to show you.
Happy to see it.
Here's a sway bar, and this is a rear sway bar for a C5 Corvette, and this front bar is larger as well, because of course we larger front sway bar for the weight. But if you can feel this, they're all tubular bars.
Yeah.
So we do really, tubular bars are our specialty, and making the thinnest wall, most durable bar that has the most roll resistance is really our deal. We make everything adjustable, and they can be up to 30, 40, 50, even 60% different stiffness in each hole. So
really?
the hole closest to the end, shorter the bar, the stiffer it is. So you can adjust the handling balance with our sway bars.
Very nice. That's a good thing to know.
And
there we go.
Drop it, and then this is a rear sway bar for a 5th gen Camaro, and you can see it's quite a bit different than the C5 Corvette. Much less bends. This is a thinner wall bar, but you can see the different types of complex bars that we have, and this one is for how big a diameter it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot lighter than you would expect.
Now you definitely figure this would be, a lot heavier than it actually is. So it's very cool.
Perfect. All right. Well, that gives you an overview of everything that we do, and we certainly we're so thankful to be here, and
happy to have you.
This has been a great morning, and now I want to go walk around and check out some cars.
I'm sure you can find some things to take home or go practice with, So.
Absolutely.
Well,
James,
John,
thank
really
you so
it.
much.
Thank you.